From hillbilly crime, you can't hide from hillbilly crime. You may not know that there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair. Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dark pass away, get the sound of a shotgun shell. All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound. Neighbors hide behind their blinds. Whisper tales of troubled minds. Skeletons covering the mountainside. A treacherous reality in the pines. Winter reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't match the cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise. All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. How are you this evening? I knew she was getting up and walking away right as we were starting the show.
Well, there was something, I thought there was something outside.
Welcome in. My name is Elizabeth, and this is my little hillbilly mama, Sweet Tater. So
See how
welcome
sweet I'm
in.
being?
Yes, look at her. That's right. This is Hillbilly Crime, y'all. This is Hillbilly Crime. And then there's her little babies back there behind her. Okay, so big deal today, you guys. New video shakes the Mickey Steins case. This Letcher County, just unbelievable mystery of why Mickey Steins shot Judge Kevin Mullins. So we got close to this several months back. We went in and we looked at this commission board, I guess is what it is. It's a board for mental health here in Kentucky. And I didn't go back, or I didn't go up a year. So I went to 2022. I looked at 2021 and 2022. They only had 2 pictures on file that I could find at the time. And there was one for 2022 that had the Kentucky State Police Commissioner
the JP Arnett or whatever his name is, he used to be the Kentucky State Police Commissioner. Now, they both served on this board together the year before. I didn't go to 23, but somebody did. And thank goodness, well, I mean, depending on whose side you're on, we're not on no side. I don't care one way or the other. I don't have no dog in the fight, regardless of any of these outcomes. I just want to know the truth, you know. But we have Judge Corin back there in the far right corner. And then you have Judge Mullins over on, or well, left. I'm sorry. I do know my right from my left. But Judge Corin's over here in the left and Mullins is in the right. Okay. We also have the video. So there's a big video that has led to all of this, and we are going to watch some of it here in just a minute. This is the motion to recuse or disqualify right here. And so we are going to go through that. Did you have any exciting things happen today, Mommy?
No, not really. I just pretty much stayed home.
Just stayed home?
I ate. I watched Netflix. I had a great day.
Good. All right. So, how is everybody? Come on in. Let me get to some of our comments. Miss Sue Gaines. Hello, Hillbillies. Hello. Let me fix that. I don't like it when it's all that real big letters there writing. Okay. So we want to put our comments up on the screen so everybody can see them. There we go. Now, just to do a little pre-work here. Before we get into tonight's show, quick housekeeping. We're still doing some behind the scenes maintenance on the channel. So if things look a little different tonight, that's why. Nothing broken, just improving things. Okay. Now, let's talk about what has absolutely shocked Letcher County to its core, because nobody, and I mean nobody, expected this. Now, information has surfaced in the Sean's Mickey Steins case, and it raises a question that makes people uncomfortable. What if the people at the center of this case knew each other? And nobody knew that they knew each other? Okay. So let's pull up the video. And we're going to watch some of it. Oh. Let me pull this back down. I knew why something was going on. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm echoing. I had to get that off of there. All right. So this is the Kentucky Judicial Commission on Mental Health meeting. Do you all see who's in the back? In the chairs. If you look in the very far back corner, that's the judge's wife. That is Judge Mullins' wife, Kim Mullins, who was reported to have been there. So I heard that on several of the reports today that Judge Mullins's widow was also present at this meeting. Not a whole lot of spouses go to these kinds of things. So I'm kind of curious why she was there, especially it being such a long meeting. But we'll see.
The Kentucky Department of Corrections
We're gonna watch just a little bit of
and
it.
president of the Kentucky Association of Circuit Court Clerks, and Jordan Dallas Turner, Boone County attorney. Yay. And
Let me go back to the very beginning. So she was already seated at the very beginning of this.
good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our September quarterly meeting of the Kentucky Judicial Commission on Mental Health. I'm Deborah Lambert, the chair, and so good to see everyone. It seems like it's been longer than 3 months since we've gathered. We have officially made it to our 2-year anniversary mark. For those of you who are attending the meeting via Zoom, you have missed the opportunity to have Smurf teeth. We have several of us are walking around with blue teeth from eating the delicious cake that Shauna was kind enough to purchase for us. No state funds were used. So thank you, Shauna, for cake. It always goes over well, even with a blue teeth.
I think that's very interesting that she felt the need to say no state funds were used for that, because there are lots of, there's lots of eyes, and this commission seems to have just been put together recently. This is their second year. So it's not something that has been in place for a long period of time. I think a lot of these boards and commissions got put into place when all this funding started coming in to the area in Kentucky for opioid. Whenever they started the SB 90 program, whenever they started sending everybody to rehab, and now we don't really have, I guess it just depends on who you are, what your last name is. If you get a real good deal with treatment, depending on what your crime was, or if you go to prison and serve many, many decades in prison, depending on what your crime was. And that's the reality of what we see that a lot of this funding has created. It's just made it a little bit more us versus them.
So let's talk a little bit about, in an introduction, all the things that you all have accomplished during this recent time period, at least. We have completed statewide mapping of the criminal justice, juvenile justice, and child welfare systems, and we're extremely proud of that. Of course, we hosted that groundbreaking mental health summit. We've completed a listening tour offering town halls across the state. And not to be forgotten, we passed our first legislative package unanimously. It will never happen again. And we're now offering community mapping opportunities for the judges and partners throughout the state. And that doesn't really even scratch the surface of all the things that are happening in our work groups. I'm so proud of the many work groups that are working to truly break down some barriers.
The barriers that need broken down are barriers that keep people like me and people like others who have successfully turned their lives around but can't get a job cleaning their toilets, even with master's degrees and straight A's across the board. No, they're all too busy patting each other on the back, giving each other awards, and bringing in guest speakers who support people like Michael Clark. No, those are the people that they want to highlight and make, put up on pedestals, are people like Preacher Man.
and thank each of you for your continued commitment to
You'll
work
see
on the
why I
Kentucky
say
Judicial
that
Commission on
in just a
Mental
second.
Health. We know that
Well-
our order of appointment was for a 2-year period of time and was set to expire on September 1st. Shauna reached out to each of the commission members, and we've done a little bit of modification of that. So I want to thank our resigning members who have been crucial and very critical to our work. Justice Denise Clayton, who's the retired Chief Judge of the Kentucky Court of Appeals, is retiring from the commission. Stacy Bruner, immediate past president of the Kentucky Association of Circuit Court Clerks. Jim Daly, the immediate past president of the Kentucky Jailers Association. Joe Ross, Logan County attorney, and who was representing the Kentucky County Attorneys Association. Sarah Johnson has resigned from the commission under her position with the Department of Corrections, but you'll see her here today serving as a delegate for Commissioner Katie Marks. Sarah, we're happy to have you remain with us in this work and hope you're enjoying your transition to the Department of Behavioral Health.
Okay, so we're not going to sit and listen to everything because it's 2 hours long. I think they sit and they go over and talk about all the stuff that they've accomplished in the last couple of years. Here they talk state plan covered services, expansion of Medicaid services. So it's all, I mean, you're going to see Medicaid in this a whole lot. Medicaid covers behavioral health services, including mental health and substance use disorders. I can tell you all about it. Because used to, they did not want anything to do with medically assisted treatment. None of them did. None of them wanted to hear anything that anybody had to say about this stuff. Trust me, I went all across the state of Kentucky speaking on it. Several different public speaking events, and nobody ever wanted to talk to me about it. I guess because I was such an advocate and I pushed for it so hard until they started realizing that Medicaid was the golden ticket to all of the funding and the money. Whenever our government decided to make a little bitty law and say, okay, guys, if you don't provide, this was to the medical services, if you guys don't provide medically assisted treatment as an option, then you can't get any kind of this Medicaid money. You can't get any federal money. And they all said, oh, shit. We can't lose our funding. So they made, medically assisted. We're going to make it just a little small area of our medical services, because if we provide any kind of prescriptions for Suboxone, that will absolutely just devastate our reputation as medical providers. I mean, they would not take us as patients because they didn't want to lose their other patients that weren't struggling with any kind of addiction. It was unbelievably hard. And all of these people that you see here in Letcher County now, raising their sword and champion the fight, they didn't want to hear none of it 8 years ago. They didn't want to hear a word about it. They made fun of me, laughed at me. It was unbelievable. The difference between then and now is just unbelievable. So and none of them, and they still blacklisted me and shunned me. They didn't want to hear from anybody that had actually been through any of this stuff. That's what shows me that it's all about the money, period. Whether it's the court system, whether it's the clinics, the medical clinics in Whitesburg, they're all in it together. You've got the same medical clinics running the jail facilities, medical facilities. You've got our court, Kevin Mullins's court, and Jimmy Craft's court, drug court. You've got all of them using MCHC and Michael Clark. You had them using ARC and MCCC. They've got their hands in all this Medicaid money. You better believe it. All right. Here we go. Here is Michael Clark's big buddy.
Today was, well, it was supposed to be
and
number
the
4. It's actually number
CEO
3
of
because
Operation
of
Unite.
the shooting incident in the Corbin, London area. We had to cancel the one or reschedule the one that was set up for the Corbin Center. We had 1,200 sixth graders registered for that event. So we're trying to set it up hopefully sometime next week or the week after. But we've had 3. We had one in Harlan County and we had 444 sixth graders. And then we were at the Mountain Art Center in Prestonsburg yesterday, had 777 sixth graders. And then today that we're Pike Central and have.
Now, you all know that I have said several times that I was going to die on the hill of prevention, because we need to stop pouring all this money into these doctors and people's pockets once people have already become full-blown drug addicts. We need to start putting more money, time, and effort into prevention. But you know what? You cannot have any kind of prevention without people who are willing to put in the time, effort, and money. But it's not just money, it's the time and the effort. Now, Mr. Vicini here, he knows exactly what that means because he was a baseball coach, little league baseball coach for like 30 some years or something like that. So he knows what it means to dedicate that personal time and effort, even when your children are not on the team. He knows what that's like. He's done that. He's a good man. But he also supports Michael Clark, the preacher man, because he played on his baseball team. He was a Yankee or whatever it was that he coached. So since he was his child ball player, I guess that qualified him for all these jobs. That qualified him to stick his foot in the door and give him a job or give him a recommendation. He would never give me one.
A little over 500. We'll be in Moorhead Monday, Somerset Tuesday, and Hazard Wednesday doing these youth rallies. And it's very difficult to have that many in 2 weeks, but it's also very rewarding. And
it's kind of really hard for me because that man right there sat and had lunch with me. I went to school with his daughter. I know him very well. He would sit and tell me to my face how awful it was that they had done me the way that they had done me, but yet he wasn't never willing to put his foot in the door to get me an interview or anything like that. And I struggle with that. I really, really, really struggle with all of this.
Do with the kids is, like I said, we're focusing on the sixth graders, and we picked them out because they're getting ready to go into a transitional stage in their life as they'll be entering middle school next year. So we want to give them some hope, instill some life skills and some information that they might need so that they can be effective in this next move in their life. And we start out and we give them a couple messages of hope. We start out with that. First of all, we get them excited. And if you've ever been in a room where 777 kids are screaming at the top of their lungs, please bring earmuffs or something like that, because it's unbelievable how excited these kids get. So then we move from that. We have a gentleman, his name is Ty Sales, and he's from Youth to Youth International. And he gave a great message on the power of acceptability. Whole theme of that message was that basically kids need to understand that other kids that might not be like them, think like them, look like them, talk like them, that we have to learn to accept everybody.
Well, yeah, we got to learn to accept everybody, but yet they wouldn't never accept people like me. It's not just me. They won't accept anybody like me. And that's a big obstacle here, you guys. It's a huge obstacle here. When we hear all this spewing out of their mouths, but their actions do not match what they say. There are so many parents and people in our community who are in very similar circumstances as I am, single parents of children who are still minors, who are in school, and we're trying to break those cycles. You know, it's not just going to a school and talking to a classroom of children. It's also having a room full of half of your basketball team. Whenever they're hungry and you got half of the team in your vehicle and you got to go through the restaurant and pay $50 or $60 because you have so many kids to feed. You know, there's so many things. That's just one sentence. We could go on and on and on and on the importance of the things that you have to have for prevention. It's not just about going into a school and talking to them. You've got to also create that community of people in your community. And it ain't these people. Now it is him. He was on the baseball, he was out in the trenches himself. So I ain't going to apply that to him. But he sure didn't back the right ones, I can tell you. Preacher Man, I don't think was a really good horse to bet on.
I think that would be a good message for us adults too, and it is a good message for this entire country that people don't have to be like us and think like us in order for us to respect their opinion and treat them with kindness and empathy. So that message was really resounding to the kids, and you could see they were soaking up every moment of it. Then we tell them a whole lot about, they bring their family resource people with them and their teachers, obviously. So we give them a message about our Unite clubs, our anti-drug clubs in the school, about Camp Unite and how they can come to our free camp for a week every July. We give them messages about Shoot Hoops, Not Drugs basketball camps, and all the other prevention programming that we do, so that they can sign up with us. They can sign up with our people to come out and do these evidence-based programs in their schools. I guess we'll have more than 5,000 kids that we reach. In Moorhead, I think we're expecting about 1,000. 1,200 plus will be in Corbin when we do get that rescheduled. Somerset should be around 1,000. So we're really reaching these kids, and just like I said, we're trying to give them hope and let them know, the first message I give them is how valued they are in our eyes, and that no matter what they might be going through in their lives, that there are people like us, all over the place that really care about what happens to them. So it's just been a blessing. I wish that you.
Okay. I can't really listen to too much more of him. Let's go up here. Now, we're going to see Mullins and Judge Corrin here. Let's see if it shows us when Judge Mullins comes in.
I just want to add on to, it's just tell.
We've actually written a manual for how this can be done. There is one for how to do it.
Groups. And first, we're going to start with Judge Tackett for the Criminal Justice Committee update.
Thank you, Chair Justice Lambert. I just want to add on to, it's just dovetailing Dr. Woods and Dr. Janiski. It's just been a marvelous program to work with Empath for the first 6 weeks they've been in operation, and to Judge Mullins. And it's so hard for us judges to pinpoint. You see someone in the courtroom and they're acting erratically, and you have reason to believe they're either probably under the influence of substances or potentially, experiencing a episode. And judges, and
there's Judge Mullins. He's in the bottom right hand of your screen. He's got the suit on, the gray suit on. So then, and they just panned the camera over to him because the speaker had mentioned his name. So his wife is still sitting back there in that corner in the left hand of your screen.
or one tool. hold them in contempt, potentially put them in jail. And here, we've been fleshing it out, and we've determined that we could probably, call the paramedicine team to come to court, have them assessed, and then instead of putting these folks in jail, we're sending them over to Empath, where they can be assessed and to determine whether it's something voluntary or not, and even if it's substance use derivative, then we can be looking at treatment. So, in respect to that, just one other real quick story. I had a
There's Judge
gentleman
Corrin.
in my mental
You
health
see?
court. He admitted to me.
So that's Judge Corrin. I'm going to rewind it just real fast and see him come in. Now, so that's Judge Corrin, the one who is serving over Mickey's murder trial, okay, of Judge Mullins.
And in respect to that, just one
There
other
he
real
is.
quick story. I had a
Right
gentleman in my mental health court. He
Walking
admitted to
in.
me that morning he was acting really erratically, and he had kind of like a word salad going. And he'd said, "Well, I'd use THC," and he'd driven, to court. So, I mean, judges, what do you do? I mean, you're not going to let him leave and drive intoxicated home. But we were fortunate because under that circumstance, he was willing to go to Empath. Said, we can't let you leave.
Now, the speaker, the guy who's speaking right now, is on the other side of Judge Mullins. So whenever Judge Corrin sat down, I noticed that Mullins didn't even turn around and look at him or anything. And I wondered, if somebody sat down next to me, even at one of these things, I would still turn just because of the movement, right? I would still turn to see who was sitting down next to me. And Judge Mullins never did. He never turned his head. So that tells me he already knew who was sitting there. I would say Corrin was probably already sitting there and we just didn't see it. Maybe he got up and went to the bathroom. Who knows? Maybe he wasn't. We can't say that he was. But if Judge Mullins didn't turn and look at him, and then I noticed he took his notepad and he set it down there. Now, I've not watched this, so I don't know if this has anything relevant or not. I noticed it, so I'm gonna mention it.
And we had the sheriff, I know next time, paramedicine team, but we had the sheriff transform him over to Empath, and he was so sick and he ended up getting admitted. So, I mean, he really needed an intervention, and it was
Mullins is on
we
his
were
phone
able to work it out. So I'm
under
just
the table.
thrilled they're here. I'm thrilled for the great working relationship we have with Dr. Woods and Dr. Chidinsky. And yes, if you are thinking about it, I highly recommend trying to get something started in your community. So, now on to the criminal justice committee reports. Again, you got me instead of Judge Mayer. She couldn't be here, so I am a sad substitute for her, but she sends her regrets. But I'd like to just first off thank Shauna Mitchell, Jennifer Van Ort Hazard, and Maria for the just incredible support that we get from them to help us do these committee reports. So they've just been wonderful, and we just I can't thank them enough. I'm always impressed when I do get to see. I don't often get to the work groups, but I'm always super impressed with the work that's being done as much as I can get there and be exposed to it. So also just thank you, Justice Lambert. She's going to come to our district court judges conference next week, and she's going to tell all the district court judges, all my colleagues, what's going on with the commission. So I just wanted to put that in there. We're very thankful that she'll be attending our college in Lexington next week. So without further ado, we're thankful to have Steve Shannon jump in. Can't thank Jim Ross and Jim Daly and Joe Ross enough for their work. But as
keep
just
getting the leg.
is going to be our new work lead for the pre-arrest diversion program. So
Now, I wondered that too. Somebody said, are the judges texting each other? How many times does that happen? You can be in a meeting with your boss or, be with your coworkers in front of your boss and you can be texting each other. We were in Alan's room last week talking about something. We were doing something. And Alan and one of his friends were texting each other so I wouldn't hear what they were saying. They didn't want me to hear what they were saying to each other. And so they were talking back and forth. That happens all the time. Now, we don't know if they are. Most of us are always on our phones. But look around to everybody else. There's a woman there. She's on her phone. But I want to watch this. I'm going to watch the body language and see how they interact with each other.
Dr. Slusher, I'm going to turn it over to her, and she'll tell you about competency.
Hi, everybody. All right, since we last met, CES law went into effect. And so we have been working as a work group to identify all the stakeholders that need some solid messaging around process or barriers that the system's facing that we can help overcome. So we've met with several stakeholders, including the Kentucky Association of Counties and the Kentucky Jailers Association. Sean and I are going out there to their yearly conference in October to present with them about CES law and how the process has worked so far since we piloted this through KCPC. And we're going to have Kenton County join us and Louisville Metro Department of Corrections, who's been doing it for a long time, so that they can hear from jails how this process works well. And we are also going out next week to the Kentucky County Judge Executive Association retreat so that we can provide information on CES law to them as well.
So the judge executive. Now, I have always heard that these conventions and stuff are like freak offs. I can't tell you how many lawyers have told me that whenever they go on these annual conventions, weekend conventions where they all stay in hotels and this and that, that it's really just a drunken orgy freak off. Now, I don't know how true that is, but I've heard several people refer to them that way. We have heard of a lot of them here in Kentucky get pretty wild. So one of the, I think it was a sheriff's convention, even, those are supposed to be just for sheriffs. Well, one of our state of Kentucky polygraph examiners decided to go to a sheriff's conference and stand outside the hotel with staring at the security camera playing pocket pool, staring at the camera. So the hotel clerk, he knew that the hotel clerk was on the other side of that screen watching him play with himself in pocket pool while he stood out in front of the hotel. Now, that was a very big situation that was kept very, very quiet. We have all the stuff on it. We did a show on it a long time ago. We might need to do another one. But so we know that there's a history. There is a history of people misbehaving when the sun goes down, I guess, at a lot of these kinds of legal conventions, by the way.
We met with Dr. Fikes. He has served as kind of a consultant for our competency worker. We've talked about him before. Of course, we modeled our legislation after Tennessee's. And so we met with him since we last met to talk through how Tennessee handles patients who refuse video conference evaluations or outpatient evaluations. And we've been able to get some really solid feedback and then provide some technical assistance to our evaluators across the state on how to handle these cases. And that has been really helpful. We have also met monthly with KCPC and Dr. Sussman, who is on screen, from DBH with all of our state hospitals so that we have been able to streamline process. As a reminder, CES law affects not just felony cases out of KCPC, but all misdemeanor cases across the state hospital system. So we've been kind of acting as TA and consultants for the state hospitals to make sure they have what they need to be successful in this as well. And we met with them this week and heard from them that this has brought down their wait time significantly for misdemeanor cases as well. Outpatient wait times for KCPC, when we worked on CES law and we're giving out information about how long it would take to have an outpatient.
Could you imagine these people having freak offs? Having a big freak off? Look at them. Forgive me, Lord.
Evaluation, we said about 3 to 5 weeks. Sometimes that goes up to 4 to 6, but right now we are operating in real time, and that's happening in about 2 to 3 weeks. So there's very limited wait times for people to get this service, which we're all very proud of. The cheering squad over there. As we think about continuum of care, it's not just about outpatient evaluations, right? But it's about diversion, deflection. It's all these wonderful things we talk about as a commission. So Council of State Governments also connected us with some subject matter experts on FACT team.
Do you see how good these people get at just blah, 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 blah. All this stuff that they're talking about, it's just another way to make a commission to give everybody another damn paycheck. This is all part of the funding. I guarantee you this commission was put together with state funds. Remember, like she said at the beginning, don't worry, we bought a cake without state funds. Where's all that money going? I wonder if any of these people had to pay for their own hotel room. I wonder if they have to pay for any of their meals. I bet they don't. I bet every bit of that is either reimbursed or provided for them somehow in some way, shape, or form. Yeah.
They'd have banquets, and usually they have a food allowance. You're allowed so much. Well, that's the way it went for us.
Yep. Yep. Have great big fancy banquets, get hundreds of thousands of dollars. And as long as they've got people who are willing to sit on these boards and come and put all this BS together, but they keep people like you and me out of it all. I know some of you say, oh, well, it's in the past. The past is the past. No, y'all don't get it then, because this is what we're fighting for. What they did to me is not, and it's not an isolated incident. It's keeping people that they don't like for whatever reason. It doesn't matter what the reason is. It's keeping people out of their circle that they don't want there, regardless of why, and only putting people in the circle who have any power or say that are approved of by them, right? Well, that's what we're fighting to change. That's what we're fighting to change. Now, nobody's ever gonna, that's never going to be for me, and that's fine. I found my niche, y'all. But don't think that just because I found my niche that, that just goes away and I just never think of it again or talk about it again, because it's still happening. It's not, like I said, it's not just me. How many female lawyers do you think have been run out of town in Hazard, in Whitesburg? How many females had to go marry into the circle, and then they're not allowed to wear a top on the boat when they go vacationing this summer? You're a high-profile attorney in your own right, and you can't wear a bathing suit top on somebody's boat because a man told you can't? I have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that. I have a problem with, if you go down to the Letcher County Courthouse, the female attorneys down there are wearing skirts so short that when they bend over, you can see everything. And then clients are coming to me telling me that when they go meet with these attorneys, these female attorney, one that I'm thinking of especially, that they're high as a kite down there in court. Oh, okay. So this is a courtroom with a judge who's over drug court. They all know what people look like when they're high. And you've got lawyers coming in front of you higher than a kite, and you can't tell the difference when their clients can tell that they're higher than a kite. That's very concerning. Oh, but who are they married to? Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That is something I know as a state we're really interested in, and KCPC is particularly interested in how we can bring about fact teams because of our 202C population who could really benefit from those kinds of models in order to be successful in re-entering our communities. So they were able to give us some good information there that we're going to build off of in the future. And you'll see in your packet some legislative recommendations from this work group. It has to do specifically with
we'll move
payment
on.
for our guardian those patients seen quickly. And I think that's everything, unless there's any questions for me. All
Any
right, thank you.
questions?
Questions?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Now, Judge Jones with the Juvenile Justice Work Group.
Thank you. So we have divided ourselves.
Been on, as again, Steve Shannon couldn't be here for the pre-arrest diversion program. There is a report in your paperwork. I'm not gonna read from it, but I will hit a couple of highlights for the pre-arrest diversion group. Unfortunately, this is a group that I try to get to, and I have a conflicting monthly meeting, so I get to be a part of it for about 30 minutes or so. But they've received presentations from police with regard to, but I would recommend if you have
In their head, and they are ready to put our plans to action. So now that we've kind of covered what happens within the Department of Corrections for mental health with our last.
a wrap for us.
Okay, I'm going to turn the volume off on that, and I'm going to let that play, and then I'm going to read this. And then we'll do it that way. All right. So, let's talk about what has absolutely shocked Letcher County to its core. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, expected this to even come out, right? New information has surfaced in the Sean Mickey Steins case, and it raises a question that, let me get him off of there and we'll get it back over onto the judges. All right. In the Sean Mickey Steins case, and it raises a question that makes people uncomfortable. What if the people at the center of this case knew each other and nobody knew that they knew each other? Now, we see that Judge Mullins is there, and Judge Mullins' wife, it looks like Judge Mullins is talking. So wait a minute, let's go back.
Emphasis on the sequential intercept as a whole.
With Judge Kevin Mullins.
Since our last meeting on Thursday, June 13th, we've been very busy promoting Senate Bill 90, our Treatment and Access Committee, and the Commission as a whole. A few days after that meeting, Representative Moser had invited a number of us to present at the Interim Joint Committee on Health Services. Van Ingram spoke about new trends in our fatal overdoses. Shauna spoke about the work of the commission with some specific emphasis on the sequential intercept mapping that was going on. I was allowed an opportunity to speak about some wonderful and amazing legislation that our General Assembly had recently passed, referring to Senate Bill 90, also referring to Representative Moser's House Bill 353, which was the fentanyl testing legislation, which also had a portion of a correction to Senate Bill 90. So as someone who was actually working on a program and actually experiencing a problem, and within months having that problem addressed, was just very wonderful. Also,
now I want to tell you, just make sure everybody understands, Senate Bill 90 is the pilot program that Judge Mullins was the golden boy for. Okay, he was the golden child for Kentucky because he agreed to implement this program into his district court. So, you know, all of the money, then they were going to get that funding. So, and it was all done at the perfect time. You had Ark, who was coming in as this big savior and who was just hiring all these people and giving them all these big salaries and giving them cars, leasing them cars. And you had the epidemic, the epidemic had happened in 2020. And then, I don't know, for the next couple of years, I guess you really had a drive to get people out of the jails and get them into homes. So I figure you also had a big push for house arrest at that time. So, and that was right when Ben Fields was working in Judge Mullins's courtroom. You had Ben Fields as the bailiff in 2021. That was about that time. And before then, because Mickey had left and become sheriff in 2018. All of that stuff matters. The timeline of all of that history matters because it shows the patterns, it shows the money. You have to go back to before Mickey ever left the courthouse. You have to go back before he ever even ran for sheriff. He was Judge Mullins's bailiff for 10 years, and then he ran for sheriff. Judge Mullins has been in that court, in that district court, since 2009, and we've got stories of him allegedly doing women very dirty as an assistant county attorney, or Commonwealth attorney, whichever one he was, or both. We have stories when he worked on people's divorces, what he did allegedly. So think about if he was doing this stuff before he ever became judge, they learn. That's a learned behavior. And they also learn how to mask and how to hide their crimes. And I'm talking about people who sit in positions of authority and mask who they are. They end up having two completely different personalities and faces. You have one face that they show to the public, and then they have another face that is seen behind closed doors. And for Judge Mullins, it appears what has been reported, like, you see how calm and soft spoken he is.
He has a nice voice.
He does have a very slow way of speaking. He's real drawn out, and he'll draw you in. Like, whenever you talk to him, he makes you feel like he really cares about what you're saying to him, or he did.
I was able to speak quite a bit about Senator Adams's Women's with Dignity Bill 1 and 2.
Women
And
with dignity.
in all these different pieces of legislation, we were able to show how these particular pieces were able to positively influence and even save lives of our Kentucky citizens. So it was a great opportunity. Also, who presented that day was Tom Stevens, a new member here today with the Kentucky.
Now, I just want to stop for just another second and remind you all, think about what has been accused of this man. Think about the things that we have heard that he has been, that he's been accused of. Just think of the accusations and then try and, bless you, Mommy, and try and merge that with who you are seeing and listening to right now.
Kentucky Association of Health Plans. And I'd like to welcome Tom here. And I would also like to say that I have consistently admired the Kentucky Association of Health Plans, how proud they are of the treatment and recovery system that has been established in Kentucky. So I just wanted to state that. Shortly thereafter, in July, we had a recovery event in Whitesburg. We call it Recovery Central. At that event, Justice Lambert, Shauna, and I think Yacinda is hidden behind Dr. Sessions over there, were able to attend. We had presentations during the morning. We had a play after lunch. And then also, while that was going on at the courthouse, the Justice and Public Safety Cabinet sponsored an expungement clinic in my courtroom. They had limited it to 50 participants.
No, he's not trying to talk fast. I just sped up the speed because if we don't, we'll be here for the next 2 hours trying to listen to him.
And in fact, had 50 participants. And I can tell you, in dealing with 50 people in 2.5 hours of time, and walking in, it was kind of this beautiful chaos that everyone got to experience. With that, I would like to thank the Hazard Public Defender's Office, which had that event well staffed. I would also like to thank Goodwill Industries for their race program that was present during the course of that event. A few days later, we had a fishing tournament called Gone Fishing, and that was working with the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, designed primarily for fathers who were at risk or who had lost and recently regained custody for a substance use disorder. And that as well was, excuse me, that was sponsored as well by Operation Unite. On August 6th and 8th,
Money, money, money.
Operation Unite had their coalition symposiums in Corbin and in Prestonsburg. Title of that was Don't Stop Believing. Elizabeth, who's behind me, seems like everybody I'm talking about is directly behind me.
Not me.
Elizabeth spoke at both the Corbin and Prestonsburg event. Shauna spoke at the Corbin event. To my knowledge, those events were very well attended. I think 29 of their 33 now coalitions had members present at both those events. I was allowed to speak in Prestonsburg, and I was allowed at that event to share my opinion, which is that Operation Unite is the greatest regional grassroots movement to combat substance use disorder in the history of man. And if you debate that, I have the numbers that back that up.
If you debate that, I have the numbers to back that up. And do you see Judge Corrin laughing? Judge Corrin thought that was awful funny. Yeah, because it is. It's awful funny. Operation Unite, they came in. They were the very first one. I was there whenever they first went on the street in Harlan County. I was there. I was one of the people. I was one of the people that saw them face to face. I knew a whole lot of them that started the task force, the Operation Unite task force. And they actually did. I can't say that I agree with all of their tactics, but I will give it to them. They stemmed the flow of opioids and oxycodone in Harlan County. Now, we don't have that same kind of law enforcement push to stop the drugs, because I think if they stop the drugs, then they won't have enough of a justification, because now they found the milking cow. SOAR came in and showed them all how to milk the tax-paying citizen of their money.
We all seen Tom, and we heard what incredible amounts of children they were able to reach just this week. So that's amazing. Towards the end of August, we had our committee meeting, and we actually had a presentation very similar today on the empath program. Previously, you've heard Judge Tackett talk about how envious he was of our Senate Bill 90 program.
Thanks, honey.
So now I guess we have a mutual envy, because I am so envious of this program and the ability and how many people that this program has helped already, not just in Fayette County, but Central Kentucky. And I have to apologize to Judge Tackett, because when Justice Lambert was calling on him, I was over here, hey, John. Next week, we have our District Judges College set. And as part of that, I have an hour presentation on Tuesday, which is just kind of what I'm going to consider a warm-up. And we're just going to talk about why the court system's involved. And it's mainly due to the prevalence of substance use disorder and behavioral health concerns. That's like before lunch. After lunch, there's a 2 or 2.5 hour presentation that Justice Lambert, John, I think Dr. Clark, and some other people from UK are doing as basically as to the intersection between the court system and the behavioral health system. So when I was trying to get John's attention, I'm like, wow, what a great time. Maybe that evening we can go to empath. So you might get some unexpected visitors on Tuesday afternoon. Yeah. Last Thursday, I was part of a panel discussion with Dr. and former Senator Ralph Alvarado, who's the Commissioner of Tennessee Department of Health, ETSU, and the Fletcher Group, about understanding the health of Appalachian communities using it and using data to make a change.
Now, he mentioned the Fletcher group, and we're going to, I want you all that are regulars, remember that name, the Fletcher group, because that's where we found a ton of grant money is going to the Fletcher group.
That was at the Appalachian Regional Commission Annual Conference in Chattanooga. There's been a lot of interest on our Judicial Commission. There's been a lot of interest on our Senate Bill 90 projects. I think there's some of us that are planning on attending a presentation in October with the Rockefeller Fund. As mentioned earlier this week, I think was the conclusion of the recovery-oriented system of care training. I think the Frankfurt was the last event. Again, I would thank everyone who was involved in specialty courts, Justice Lambert and Shauna, for presenting at those events. I think this 7-part summit or series is kind of the classic example of what I've always said. I think for the Treatment and Access Committee and this commission to succeed, I originally thought about it on 2 words, and that was education and determination. And it clearly fits the bill there. It's clearly education. It clearly requires the effort. It coincides. The Treatment Access Committee has been just so blessed. The town hall meetings, our summit in Louisville. We've just gotten so many great gifts, but just the same
More
as the
money.
recovery-oriented system of care. I've kind of now, in going through this, I guess we need to add a 3rd word, because I think it's really going to be education, determination, and collaboration. Because if you notice, all of us are doing things on this together. We're all working together, in different aspects of this. So to me, that's the 3 words that we have to focus on. I would just kind of like to end what I'm saying. It is National Suicide Prevention Month. It's also National Recovery Month. With that, I assume there's some event going on in almost every community. And if so, it'd be a great opportunity for everybody to get out to those events, spread the word, get more involved. So with that said, I will turn over to the work groups. And on the agenda, the first listed work group is the Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Work Group, led by Crystal Adams. And they'll
not that I can't be loud if I need to. So since the last time we met a quarter ago, we have continued our work with autism in the courts. We were actually contacted by the Autism Justice Center, which is under the Autism Society. Their local chapter here in Kentucky has some individuals who are involved in our work group and had shared information with the
Strengthening Communities Work Group has met twice since the commission last met. In July, we went through our work plan and discussed legislative rec. We've invited the Jailers Association to come and speak with our work group at some point in the future. But that was one topic that I can see that we may be returning to on a pretty regular basis over the next few meetings or so. In August, we also met, and Medicaid's just been a wonderful partner with our work group, often coming in and speaking with our group about a variety of topics, of course, with the community aspect of what we do. Funding and making sure that the resources are there is a critical component. So we actually had 3 separate presentations, one on peer support billing services, one on jail service billing, and then school-based services. As you can see, our work group tends to focus on identifying particular needs in education and for the justice-involved individuals. So those are going to be topics that we will continue to come back on a pretty regular basis. Our next meeting is Friday, September 27th at 10 a.m. And I'll close with 3 quick thank yous. First and foremost, Shauna, Jennifer, and Maria, you've kept our work group going smoothly and efficiently, and so grateful. Also want to thank Medicaid again. Been a wonderful partner. And then finally, a thank you.
Thank Medicaid again. They've been a great partner.
To Justice Lambert and to Shauna for presenting to, excuse me, to a large group of healthcare attorneys about the work of the commission. So it was wonderful to have you, and I appreciate you doing that. That's all I have.
Thank you, everyone. I know we've gone a little bit over time, so I won't belabor you with 15 minutes of closing remarks, it looks like, on the agenda. Just one quick word. September is Suicide Prevention Month. Every time I'm speaking lately, I'm reminding people to not use the blame phrase, commit suicide. We want to delete that shaming language and stigmatized language from our day-to-day discussions. and use a phrase such as died by suicide. And hopefully that will go some distance into helping reduce stigma relating to mental health in those in crisis. Also, of course, our next meeting is December 5th. And Shauna says, take some cake home with you or hang around here and eat your cake for a few minutes. Thank you all for a very uplifting meeting of good news.
All right. There it went. Okay. Okay. Now, that was very fascinating, right? Sorry, it was a little bit long. But so that is the video that the defense has been referring to, okay? And what the video shows, we watched it already. So we're not going to jump to any kind of conclusions. Just notice who was there. Notice where the people, we noticed where the people were seated. We noticed the overlap. Now, what you just saw is the reason that court was abruptly canceled the very last hearing for Mickey Stein's murder trial. Now, who was in that room that we just saw? This wasn't some random gathering. This was a mental health commission meeting. And there are multiple public figures present in that meeting. Now, the judges were there. There were commissioners there, leadership figures. Tom Vicini, now the new CEO of Unite. Okay. To be clear, being in the room doesn't mean that anybody was doing anything wrong. But in a case like this, context matters. It matters big time. So here's where this gets tricky and where reasonable people can disagree. We just sometimes have to agree to disagree. And that's fine. We can do that. We are adults. Okay. Now, is it a good thing to remove a judge who understands mental health better than maybe some of the other judges? Or does the appearance of fairness matter more than expertise? And to be fair, we never saw them interact, did we? I never saw Judge Mullins even acknowledge Judge Corrin. Did you? Now, at the beginning of it, to be honest, I was kind of expecting him to. I kept waiting for him to turn around and say, hello, or just nod his head or something. Now, maybe he did when the camera wasn't on them, but I never did see it whenever the camera was on them. Now, who would understand a mental health defense better than someone who, say, has been immersed in that world? So is it a bad thing that Judge Corrin is even on this trial? Mickey's defense is a mental health defense. But on the other hand, is the discovery of this information, especially so close to the incident, because that video, that meeting that we just watched happened 1 week before the shooting. That makes a big difference in my eyes, does it? What about you, Mommy?
Well, it's a shocker to tell you the truth, because you would have thought that he had had mental health issues on his mind. And I'm surprised that he didn't notice that Mickey was off center.
Who? The judge?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I think the judge did. Now, talking about Judge Mullins, I think Judge Mullins did see it. I think they all saw it. Judge Mullins, now personally, I don't think Judge Mullins saw anything more or less than the others saw. I think everybody saw him losing it. I
Yeah,
think
but
Judge
he was
Mullins,
smart. Judge Mullins was a smart man. You know what I'm saying?
he
He could
was.
put 2 and 2 together and come up with 4. Most of
He
the
just,
time, anyway.
I don't think any of them were going to do anything against Mickey. You know, if you believe the narrative that they were setting him up for something, if you believe that, then, you know, that's on one side. Okay. So that's one of the arguments. Or the other side of the coin would be that Judge Mullins just happened to be the one that he broke on, you know, and I think that's very true. I think that in the state that he was showing to be in, what if he had gotten mad at somebody else? What if he had gotten mad at his wife that day? Could he have done the same thing to her? Did it just so happen to be Mullins? Or was there a reason that he did this to Mullins? We just don't know what it is yet.
Well,
Zelma.
I don't know.
Okay.
I just, you know,
I know.
I just don't know how a thing like that happened, is all I'm saying.
So
it's so sad to watch him go to that meeting 3 or 4 days before his execution and then come back to his office and get
regardless of what he did, and we still don't have any proof that he did anything. I mean, there's a whole heck of a lot of rumors and accusations, but there's not anybody that's come forward and said, here, I got this and I want to show you what he did to me. There ain't nobody that's had that. There ain't nobody that's come forward with any kind of proof beyond a reasonable doubt that that man is
There's a lot of gossip
guilty.
and rumors, you know what I'm saying? And I think where there's that much smoke, there must be a little fire someplace, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
But
yeah,
he sure did not deserve what happened to him. No
No,
way, shape, or form.
he was hands up. He had his hands up and he was cornered in a room trying to hide under a table. Mickey Steins, and we watched it with our own eyes. So I don't know. Even watching this video, I think that the biggest part for me is just that it wasn't disclosed. And if it was so innocent, why not disclose it? Why would Judge Corrin not have said, hey, I just sat next to this man, the victim, a week ago? Or, well, it would have been, well, yeah, if he would have heard about the shooting, and I'm sure he would have heard about it along with everybody else. I just sat next to this man for 2 hours a week ago, but we never spoke. We never even acknowledged each other's, presence beside of us. I think that would have been a much better approach to this, especially by the judge and the prosecutors, because the judge's wife knew that he was sitting there next to that man. So I don't know. So is the discovery of this information, especially so close to the incident, more important than that expertise? This is, a pretty good, it's a pretty good argument for the recusal. So now let's look at the motion to recuse. So comes now the defendant, Sean Mickey Steins. Let me get it pulled up over here where I can read it a little bit better. I can't hardly read it. Here we go. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Let me pull it up here. Murder case, Stein's motion to recuse. Okay, here we go. Verified motion to recuse / disqualify. All right. Comes now the defendant. Let me stick that up there. Sean Mickey Steins, by and through counsel, and respectfully moves this honorable court to recuse Judge Christopher Corrin from presiding over the present matter. This motion is made pursuant. Okay, let's go through them. Legal standard for recusal. And then they name a couple cases. A judge must disqualify themselves in any proceeding where their impartiality might reasonably be questioned, including but not limited to instances where the judge has a personal bias or prejudice concerning a party or personal knowledge of disputed evidentiary facts. KRS, and then another one, authorizes the Chief Justice, when prompted by an affidavit properly certified by the circuit clerk, to determine whether to designate a regular or retired justice or judge of the Court of Justice as special judge in a particular case. This other statute is vague regarding the authority given to the Chief Justice when making such a determination, and a paucity of case law exists to guide the Chief Justice's decision. However, KRS, and then it gives another number, offers guidance regarding when disqualification is appropriate. The statute provides in relevant part that a judge shall disqualify himself in any proceeding where he has a personal bias or prejudice concerning a party, a personal knowledge of disputed evidentiary facts concerning the proceedings, or has expressed an opinion concerning the merits of the proceeding. And then it has another KRS number. The statute also requires disqualification where a judge has knowledge of any other circumstance in which his impartiality might reasonably be questioned. And then it gives another KRS. Similarly, the Kentucky Code of Judicial Conduct provides that a judge shall disqualify himself or herself in any proceeding in which the judge's impartiality might reasonably be questioned, including but not limited to the following circumstances. The judge has a personal bias or prejudice concerning a party or a party's lawyer. Supreme Court, and then it gives statutes. On appellate review of a trial court's determination, consistent with Rule 2.11, a judge's bias or partiality is determined under an objective standard from the perspective of a reasonable observer who is ... 8. I don't know what that means. Informed of all the surrounding facts and circumstances. All right. The goal of these recusal provisions is to avoid even the appearance of partiality, so as to promote public confidence in the integrity of the judicial process. All read v. Commonwealth Judicial Conduct, and then it gives a bunch of numbers. While the Chief Justice's determination under KRS whatever is not a review of a trial court's decision, applying the objective standard to determine whether a judge's impartiality might reasonably be questioned is appropriate. Factual basis for recusal. A video from a Kentucky Judicial Commission on Mental Health meeting from September 12th, 2024. So September 12th, so remember, that was 1 week before the shooting, which it also would have been a few days before the deposition that Mickey gave. Mickey sat for his deposition on the 15th, I think it was. And then the shooting, maybe the 16th. And then the shooting took place on the 19th. So all of this happened within 1 week of each other. 7 days. All right. It has been brought to the attention of counsel for the defense. The video is dated a mere 7 days prior to the shooting at issue in this matter. The presiding judge and Kevin Mullins are pictured inches apart for approximately 2 hours at the meeting. Upon information derived from the defense's investigator, Joel Cotton, Mullins' widow is also in attendance and shown in the video. The presiding judge, now that video was on YouTube. That was a publicly accessible video on YouTube. And I'm pretty sure if it's a nonprofit or, if it's a program, like a governmental program, something like that, I'm pretty sure they don't have to put that stuff out. They don't have to video that and put it out publicly. But I think that their meetings and stuff are supposed to be public.
Yes.
Like anybody was allowed to come in and sit down, like Judge Mullins' wife.
Anybody could probably go.
Thank
They
you.
wouldn't even talk about specifics. Just like when they had the city council meeting here in Neon, they put that out there on the web. I watched one of them.
Yeah, that one right there was on YouTube. We've watched some of the.
That's what they put the city council meetings out there.
We've watched some of. We've
Yes.
watched some of the commission videos before, looking for Judge Mullins. Okay. So it appears that in addition to the speaking event captured in the video, there is also a companion social or dinner event connected to the meeting in some form. I'd say they have a lot of those because they have a lot of dinners. They have a lot of lunches. That's one of the big parts of these programs and these commissions and these things is they always have, like Mom said, they have a food balance budget. They're always having dinners. They're always meeting for lunch. Who do you think pays for all that? It's our tax dollars that pay for every bit of that. Every bit of it. How is that money being used to benefit people like us, the ones who are in recovery, who are trying their best to break cycles from our children? Well, I've never even had a nice word So all this BS that I hear them blah, 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 it just goes in one ear and it turns into mush in my brain, and it comes out very angry smoke from this ear. I can't help it. Okay. During the video, I think it's very funny that they talk about women's integrity, and yet this is coming out of the mouth of someone who's been accused of some really, really horrible things for decades, you know? But everybody that was sitting at that table believes everything that comes out of his mouth. Or maybe they don't believe it, but it sure does. They don't have to believe it, but it sure does make it sound good, doesn't it? When they're talking about these amazing and beautiful people and these amazing and beautiful opportunities and all of these treatment and annual rehab events. Yeah, I remember several of them, like the Spark rally that Jamie Hatton gave or had in Whitesburg. Supposed to be the first of many. Well, they never had another one. It was such a success that they never did have another one. They just had something different next year. All right. During the video, Mullins reports on his involvement with legislative efforts because lawyers are always. What are you doing there, Zelmy?
I'm fixing me a pair of breeches. What do you think?
I love them.
But this is the bottom. You don't see the bottom?
Yeah, that's the ones that you showed me the picture of, ain't it?
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I never did get them fixed. Well, I got me some elastic. See it right here to make a waistband.
Yeah.
So
She's a sewing. Okay. So during the video, Mullins reports on his involvement with legislative efforts, as well as the Women's with Dignity bill. Mullins also highlights his recent recovery events and expungement efforts in Whitesburg. Yeah. Mullins then discusses his professional plans for the following week at the District Judges College. When discussing this upcoming event, Judge Corrin appears to nod in approval because they'll all be there together with boots on or heels on or whatever that phrase is. I don't think any of that's right, is it? I'll be there with bells on. Sorry.
I guess I'll go to bed if that's all right with you.
All right, Mommy, go ahead. I'm almost done anyway. I love you.
All right. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you for the meeting. I enjoyed it.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow, Mommy. Bye. Love you.
Okay. Love you.
All right. We're almost done, y'all. It is difficult to understand. Oh, no. I missed a sentence. However, there will be proffered evidence that contrasts with the presentation seen on the video. It is difficult to understand how this close proximity with Mullins in both time and distance would not lead the reasonable observer to impute a bias in favor of disbelief of negative statements and the propensity to disallow the same. That was a lot of words, wasn't it? This is an alleged capital offense in which a judge is the shooting victim. The entire case hinges on mental health. The insanity defense centers on the events of this week and what Mr. Steins believed was afoot with Mullins and his colleague, Daniel Dotson. The secondary defense. Remember, Daniel went with Mickey to the deposition. I told you that was important. Told you. And you think that the judge's wife being with him at this thing ain't very important? Oh, yeah. I think it's very important. I wonder how often she went with him to those kinds of meetings, those kinds of out of town things. I wonder how often she went. I think that's going to be very important, or at least it's going to be relevant. The secondary defense, extreme emotional disturbance, is judged solely from the subjective beliefs of Mr. Steins about the planned actions of the deceased during this same time frame. Had this video been taken even months prior, then the appearance would not be so concerning. However, this video creates an impression to the public that there is a bias in favor of his colleague seated next to him. As noted in the recent order from the court, videos create a strong presumption that is extremely difficult to rebut. Rebut. By way of example, at the juncture when the foregoing was discovered by the defense, a hearing on bond was set. However, despite the consent of the defendant, the mental health report from the state's own expert has been disallowed as evidence in the bond hearing. While the undersigned is restrained by the previous order from discussing the findings in the report or the contents, our client made multiple revelations to the examiner that fall into the category of evidence that would conflict with this judge's professional knowledge of the deceased. At this point, there has been no legal basis as support for the refusal to unseal the KCPC report. While that issue is one to be addressed further at a later date, the objective observer would rationally believe there is inherent bias from the video, and this would lead the judge to prohibit this normally admissible report from coming into evidence. The undersigned has known the presiding judge as a former prosecutor and as a judge, and does not seek his recusal lightly. However, the eyes of the world have been upon this litigation. The visual optics in this case must demonstrate impartiality. Had this very recent meeting and sharing of accolades been disclosed previously, then the evaluation of the circumstances might differ. However, there was no previous disclosure. Timeline of motion. This motion is filed immediately upon discovery of the facts upon which the disqualification rests, as required by Kentucky law. Recuse. The circumstances described above fall within the recusal provisions of KRS and then the numbers, as they create a reasonable question regarding the judge's impartiality. Now, wherefore the defendant respectfully requests that this honorable court grant this motion and recuse Judge Christopher Corrin from further proceedings in this matter. Respectfully submitted, Jeremy and Carrie Bartley. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the earthquake that has shaken the Steins murder case today. A lot of folks are asking, did the defense sit on this information, or did they just find it? Well, it said there in the thing that they had reported it as soon as it came to their attention. A lot of folks, may be a little confused by this. I'd say people are going to be asking, how did they find this, right? Well, I'll tell you this. We almost found it ourselves, but we didn't. We were looking at commission members from the year before. We weren't looking for Judge Corin, because we didn't know what we were looking for. That, I don't know. But I learned a big lesson. I sure will next time. So right now, we don't know the answer to anything. But until we do, it would be irresponsible to guess. So we'll just have to wait and see how this all plays out. So here's where we're going to leave it tonight. A case that was already heartbreaking, now complicated by optics, mental health, and an undisclosed overlap. Is removing this judge a loss or a win? Or is preserving trust in the system more important? Those are questions that we're going to keep exploring, and we'll try to have some clearer answers. So hit that like button for us on your way out. If you haven't, make sure you are subscribed, because this case isn't just about what happened. It's about whether the system can handle something this heavy in the light. And we are going to keep our eyes peeled on it. All right, quick scripture to close us out. I opened it up to Revelation. Yeesh. All right. Chapter 3, verse 2. Be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect before God. Remember, therefore, how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come on thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. Thou hast a few names, even in Sardis, which have not defiled their garments, and they shall walk with me in white, for they are worthy. He that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, these things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David, he that openeth, and no man shutteth, and shutteth, and no man openeth. Think about the doors that the Lord's opened and kept closed. I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, and no man take thy crown. That no man take thy crown. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God. And he shall go no more out, and I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God. And I will write upon him my new name. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. And unto the angel of the church of Laodiceans write, these things saith the Amen, the faithful and the true witness, the beginning of the creation of God. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. You better stand for something, or you're going to fall for anything. That ain't in the Bible, but it's true. Because thou sayest, I am rich, and increased with goods, and have need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched, and miserable, and poor, and blind, and naked. I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear. And anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous, therefore, and repent. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and am set down with my Father in his throne. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. Amen. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Jesus, for another day. Another day, Lord. I woke up this morning and my eyes opened. I was able to stand up and walk across the floor. I had money in my bank account to be able to feed my children and pay my bills. And I praise you, Jesus. I praise you so much. I praise you with everything I got, Lord. I lift your name up in praise, honor, and glory. I pray that you forgive me for my sins, Lord. I'm always feeling like the chief sinners. I love you, Jesus. I pray that you will take whatever's in my heart that's not of you and that you will remove it. But I also pray that you'll take whatever the devil means for evil and that you'll turn it around for the good of those who love you and who are called according to your purpose. So all these lessons that we learn, Lord, these tests that we have to go through, all these storms and deserts and fires that we walk through, I thank you, Jesus, for walking through them with us. Every single time, you've always been right there. You've had a hold of our hand and you've walked us right through to the other side every single time. You've never let us down. You never let me down. I pray that you will just keep opening these doors and keep opening these windows and keep closing the ones that need to stay closed that no man can open. I thank you for your mercy. I thank you for your grace, Lord. I thank you for the favor that you've given me in my life, even when I didn't recognize it, even when I didn't see it. You protected me. You kept me out of the storms sometimes. I went through other storms. But it's all for your will. I always pray for your will daily, Lord. Use us as your vessels to complete your will. Help us to discern properly, because sometimes I mess up. I don't get it at all. So I just pray, Lord, I pray that you just keep guiding us and keeping us from temptation. Thank you, Jesus. Go with us tonight, Lord. Last night, a family in our community lost their home to a fire, and so I lift each and every one of the members of that family up to you, Lord. I pray that you just touch them and give them comfort and peace. Losing all of our things is very difficult, but not when life was lost, and that's the important part. I pray that you just help us, Lord. Help us learn that to not put our trust and our faith in things. It's a really, really hard thing to do. Many of us hang on to things for different reasons. And I just pray that you'll heal us, Lord. Heal each and every one of us from whatever brokenness and whatever that we've got going on inside of us, Lord, emotionally, spiritually. I pray that you'll just touch us and heal us according to what need we have. Many of us have been mourning loved ones, Lord, so I just pray that you'll touch their hearts too. Go with us tonight, Lord, and bring us back tomorrow at the appropriate time. We give you all praise, honor, and glory. In Jesus' name, in Jesus' name. All right, y'all. All right. I pray for any of unspoken prayer requests that we didn't get to, and spoken ones that we didn't get to. God knows all about it, y'all. He knows all about it. Dave Clifton, wonder if Michael Clark will ever testify about anything. Well, we sure didn't hear his interview with the state police. They didn't release that. They released everybody's interview except his. So that's kind of fascinating. All right, guys. Well, you have a great rest of your night. And thank you. Wasn't me. 1952. Thank you for your super sticker. Remember that gift memberships are always a blessing. They help people on our subscribers, hillbillies, and our family. And so if anybody would like to donate gift memberships, they're always available. We also have super chats and super stickers. Being an independent journalist, this is how we keep the lights on, y'all. So anybody who can donate, we sure do appreciate it. But the most important is just watching, just being here. If you can't, don't you even worry about it. Say a prayer for us, because God will always provide. That's who I rely on, is the Lord. He will open a door. And if he closes one, he'll open a window. All right, y'all. Well, you have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out, Girl Scout.
from hillbilly crime. You can't hide from hillbilly crime. You may not know that there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dog passed away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds. Whisper tales of troubled minds. Skeletons covering the mountainside. A treacherous reality in the pines.
Winter reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't match the cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise.